there an invitation sent to the senators last week for today's hearing?
Yes, Mr. President, April 24. Nabanggit kasi itong issue na ito, April 2. It was brought up by Senator Raffy Tulfo about this practice, no? So kaya ginawa natin, motu proprio inquiry in aid of legislation on the rights of patients to appropriate medical care, information, and informed consent, focusing on the prescription of medicines. Napag-usapan na po itong issue na ito noong April 2. It was brought up by Senator Tulfo at naging lumaki lang siya. Last week, it was mentioned sa interview yata ni Senator JB. That's why nag-issue po ang komite ng invitation April 24 at 20? 24. 24 ang notice, and then yung mga
duly received naman ng mga senators'
yes,
offices, Comsec? Yes.
Mr. President, with due respect, what was the notice for? Because from my understanding, the notice that was posted is regarding bullying in the, was it hospital setting? That was the notice we received. So it is very possible that a senator who is not inclined to attend a hearing on bullying would not attend, not knowing that there's going to be another topic taken up. I think that is the important point that we should be discussing, Mr. President. What is the point of a notice if matters beyond the notice are going to be taken up intentionally? Of course, kung nabanggit, and then the chairman, you know, on the side is, oh, pakituloy lang yung issue na yon. But to intentionally have a hearing on a subject matter that is not contained in the notice, and we have sometimes 6 hearings simultaneously going on, and we have other obligations, how would we know, Mr. President? How do we properly inform ourselves?
Yes.
Because that is the purpose of a notice, Mr. President.
You're absolutely correct. But to just give the proper information to the body, I have a copy of the Notice of Inquiry in Aid of Legislation of the Health Committee, and it's under sections, under letter C.
Oh, yes.
Under letter C of its notice, Moto proprio Inquiry in Aid of Legislation on the rights of patients to appropriate medical care, etc., etc. So, it's one long paragraph. So, nabanggit naman doon sa kanyang notice. In other words, proper naman yung procedure
So
ng
pasok po
committee.
siya, Mr. President.
Pasok po siya.
Pasok siya sa rules natin.
Yes.
Salamat, Mr. President.
Yeah, very clear. As far as I'm concerned, of course, I will not debate with my majority leader, but as a former majority leader myself, 3 times, I can see that the rules in this particular case were followed.
I think, Mr. President, it's also important to note that if it is happened during the hearing without being part of the notice given to the members with the 3-day rule, that's a different story, Mr. President.
Yes.
So, again, the speeches delivered yesterday were not referred yet, but we can
Refer them now?
dispense and refer it, Mr.
Absolutely.
President.
You can make the motion, Your Honor.
We can
Majority Leader.
do it now if...
No, Mr. President, I understand, no? Unfortunately, I agree. I note that the motu proprio, the rights of patients is in the agenda, but the privileged speech, the 2 privileged speeches were not referred. So how would a senator know that that specific topic, and as mentioned by one of the sponsors, the complete set of officers were there? How would the senator know that that whole agenda would be covered today? Kung nadaanan, okay lang. But that whole topic was there. And even the sponsor was shocked that they were complete. It's a good thing he had decided to attend because yung buong scope ng kanyang topic nando doon. And then last point I'd like to raise, Mr. President.
It was
Under Rule 10, sorry,
sorry.
would you like to?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Under Rule 10, Section 13, which is the enumeration of the powers of the different committees, subsection 2 says, on accountability of public officers and investigations. it says here, investigation of any matter of public interest on its own initiative or brought to its attention by any member of the Senate. So it is only the Blue Ribbon Committee, Mr. President, that has that phrase, under its own initiatives. And for the 17 years that I've been a senator, I file resolutions in my own committee following these rules, because my understanding is it's only the Blue Ribbon Committee on its own initiative. Of course, in a time of emergency, we are on break. Of course, we will not stop the Committee on Energy to have a hearing. Of course not. But what is the purpose of this on its own initiative under the Blue Ribbon Committee powers if everybody else can do it? Hindi ko po sinaswapang yun. E di palitan natin, let's amend. What is our intention? Because we just have to be clear about the rules. We are a institution governed by rules so that we can do our job properly. So I humbly submit that we submit these queries to the Committee on Rules,
Yes.
so that they can discuss it with our legal, our luminaries, our experienced
Yes.
heads, and then properly guide us, Mr. President. Thank you.
But just for the record, we amended the rules of procedure governing inquiries of in aid of legislation, Your Honor. And under Section 2, initiation of inquiry, it's very clear. It used to be, I recall, it used to be the Blue Ribbon Committee motu proprio. Actually, immediately, even not following the 3-day rule, pwede yun, di ba? Parang immediate yung investigation on its own. However, we amended and strengthened the rules of procedure and added the Section 2. So, if you wish, we can have the Committee on Rules come out with the legal and the correct and final decision on this particular issue. Yes, so we can refer to the Committee on Rules to come up with a decision.
Mr. President, we admire and respect the issues raised in today's session, and you know, there's always room for improvement, Mr. President, and as we are talking about some other matters, Mr. President, with regard to our rules, we can always look into it and study further and improve as much as we can, Mr. President, in order to give our best service to our country and people.
And yes,
We
and
thank-
just to add, Majority Leader, just to add, we've had instances in the past, my dear colleagues, where there is an ongoing investigation, and then somebody stands up to add additional information on that particular topic. It is referred to the committee that's hearing the measure. But I understand where the good lady senator is coming from, Senator Cayetano, because I know that the Blue Ribbon Committee should be involved in this, because if it is incompetence or malfeasance, misfeasance, or some neglect of duty in the government agency, particularly, in this case I can say either the DOH, the PRC, or PhilHealth, then definitely the Blue Ribbon Committee should get involved in this particular issue. That is the reason why I believe the Majority Floor Leader had referred it muna to the Committee on Rules, because he wants to see the Majority Leader, together with Committee on Rules, will decide which is the perfect committee that will handle this investigation. Although, nothing stops also the Committee on Rules to having a parallel investigation. Committee on Health together with the Committee on, or the Blue Ribbon Committee on this particular case.
Yes,
So,
Mr. President.
Majority Leader, we leave it to your Committee on
Yes,
Rules.
Mr. President,
for the
thank you.
referral.
And